folks, I'm literally just back from a session fishing and I thought I'd do a product review. Now if you check on my channel, you'll see that I've only ever done 1 or 2 product reviews over the few years that I've had the channel. It really takes me to be taken back by something before I'll even put a review out. What I am reviewing today is the new RMX Fulcrum Alarms from Prologic. I've been using these alarms now for around about 3-4 months. I've had them in abject weather conditions of all degrees, and I just thought after that I would actually come and speak about my feedback on the alarms. I think literally they are just released in the UK. To do with all the Brexit paperwork, I don't think they've actually hit the shelves yet. But luckily I was able to get a set a few months back. They come as this 3-rod presentation set with a receiver. You can also buy separate heads for the units as well if you want them without a receiver, if you want to add another alarm for a 4th one going to France or something like that. I think for the box of 3 and the receiver, it's around about £229, you know, give or take. It might be slightly less or slightly more in other tackle shops. And I noticed that the heads themselves, I think they're selling for about $49.99. I've been the user of many alarms through the years. I've had several Fox alarms. I've had a couple of sets of Delcoms, the latest Delcoms as well. I'm always chopping and changing, but this time getting this set of Fulcrum alarms, and you think, you know, from a set of alarms around £500 with all the features, and then you move to something like the Prologic RMX Fulcrums. What are the differences, or are there any differences really? Well, to be honest, I have used the Prologic RMX Fulcrums, as I said, for around about 4 months. I have previously used the SMX alarms. I know my father, he also uses the SMX alarms, which are another great set of alarms. The SMX are sort of slightly above the budget style of alarm to more the serious higher end alarm. I think they're about 180 quid a set or something like that, 150 quid a set. But what separates the RMX Fulcrums? Well, if I look at the head here, there are 6 different LED colours that I can change on the alarm head. There's also 6 different volume settings on the alarm, from silent right up to blow your eardrums off and annoy anglers in other swims. There is 7 tone settings on the alarm and 4 sensitivity settings. When you hit the sensitivity, every time it gives an extra beep, that's showing you that it's going up at a level of sensitivity. And usually I like my alarms as sensitive as possible, but obviously if there's wind and rain and things like that, I can turn it down accordingly. The real neat thing about this is, on the alarm, they auto sync with the receiver. The receiver has several functions. It's got 3 buttons across the front. One is a light, which has 2 variances of brightness. It has a memory button, which shows you if you've got a forward run or a backdrop. That's the same as what they've done on previous sets of alarms. They've had that memory button for a long time, and it's great if you are doing something in your bivvy and you get a single beep, and before you've had a chance to check it out, the receiver has dropped the LED and so has the alarm head. You can look back on the receiver, hit that memory button, and it'll show you that that's the last rod. Now for me, it is the right hand rod, and that's the last rod I actually took off and reeled in this morning from the session. So there's a volume button to adjust the volume of the receiver as well. The real smart thing about the alarm heads and receiver is, if I change a setting on the alarm, so say for instance I change the colour from a green LED to a blue, it auto syncs to the receiver. If I change the tone of the alarm head, it will also change the tone of the receiver. On the top of the receiver, it's got a 3-phase toggle switch. If I have it right over to the right, it's off. In the middle, it has a bite and run indication, which means if you get consecutive, I think it's 4 to 6 beeps, it will light up this light to show you as a bivvy light to give you a path to your door, which is a great feature if you don't have a bivvy light in your bivvy. And for me personally, having the receiver facing me, I prefer not to use that because it would blind me, but a lot of people will find that useful. And then you take it right over to the left there, and you have just the normal toggle switch for lighting up to show you whether you're getting a forward run or a backdrop. And I said, I last lifted the right hand rod and it shows a green LED. If it was down below, it would show a white LED for a backdrop, so you get that differentiation between a forward run and a backdrop. Another really cool feature of the alarms is they have a thing called ProSec, which is Prologic security, I would imagine, is what they're talking about there. But if you switch your alarm head off by mistake, or some rogue character switches your alarm off, then that will show up automatically on your receiver. You'll get beeps to show that the alarm head has been switched off. And I think, to be honest, that's another upgrade from the SMX alarms that they didn't have. And I've fished a couple of urban venues in the past, and that was one reason that I chose to get a set of alarms that had a security feature, because it meant if anybody did try to take my alarms, they would stop that. One other feature of the alarms is that they have a motion detection that can pick up whether you're getting liners or whether you're actually getting a run from just the sway and swell of the water, weed and things like that. So things that you don't really need to get out of your bivvy to worry about, that are just happening in the environment and in the lake bed. It will not give you beeps for that, but it will be just beeps from liners and a run, which sort of detects wind and undercurrents and things like that, weed tow. It stops false indication, really. So that's a really neat feature that a lot of other alarms don't have. And I mean, to be honest, for the price bracket of £230, I think they are a high-end alarm. One other feature is the fact that they have their own inbuilt snag ears, and they just easily pull out. And as far as I'm aware, you can fish those at varying heights. You can have them halfway up, or you can have them the full way up. I know for me, a lot of my fishing revolves around snags, and a lot of the time I want to have a good robust set of snag ears that it means that the rod is not getting taken off the top. I've seen it before where you're in a situation where somebody's got an absolute blistering take. It hasn't indicated on the rod tip is lifted off the alarm, and the tip is just bent round on a 90-degree arc, and there's no indication. At least with the snag ear, it's keeping the rod further down and stopping it come off, enough hopefully for the line to start going through the roller wheel and give an indication. And again, those snag ears, when the alarm head is on, they will light up. I think as well, you can also use those as a night light, as far as I'm aware. There's a setting that you can change to make those into a night light, which uses 30% of the battery power. But the neat thing is, the light used to be on the SMXs on the top, whereas they've moved them into the actual sort of 3/4 of the way up the snag ear. And what that means is, if you're fishing them right down like that, you're not getting any indication at all in terms of a light from those snag ears, so it's not blinding you if you want minimal light. But obviously you can have ambient light set on, so you can see that your bite alarms are working at all time. Me personally, I like to have no lights on the alarm at all, so that if I get a single beep or any movement and an eye is open and I'm looking, I can see in a direct line of sight which rod has actually given me that single beep. I know I can use the sounder box for that as well, but sometimes we like to look out at the rods. And me personally, a lot of my winter fishing has been a case where I've simply got a single beep, and that could be the case that a fish has literally picked up the rig. It's sitting there sulking, trying to shake the hook with minimal movement. I've come out, I've checked the rod, and I've seen the tip bounding up and down, and I've had a fish on. A lot of people wouldn't get out of the bivvy for that. I always check single beeps. The one thing I love about these alarms compared to previous models that Prologic have brought out is that they actually do have a far better sensitivity. You know, just because they look like the older SMXs, don't get confused, because obviously they are very similar in style, but the features are a lot more. Another great feature in the headset and also the receiver is that they use AAA batteries. So the headsets, they use 2 AAA batteries, which seem to last a long time. I've had these in for the 4 months. I haven't had any issues to show that the batteries are low. And again, in the receiver, they have 4 AAA batteries, and I know that's a massive upgrade from the previous SMX alarms. They only had 2 and the battery life wasn't as good. That's another reason, if you think that you're using your light there. There's been a couple of times that I've been fishing really early morning, I've been in the car and I've thought to myself, oh goodness, I forgot my head torch, or I can't find my head torch. I've literally hit the button and I've been able to search the car looking for exactly what I've been doing, or working my way to the swim with that, or even as a bivvy light, you know, if I'm really stuck that way. So I think that really is a great feature. I think personally, if you are in the market for a new set of alarms, you're thinking, I want to go for a more professional set of alarms, but I don't want to break the bank, then I wouldn't look much further past these guys. They're nice and dinky in terms of their size. They feel really well built in the plastic casing and housing. Today I've been out and there's been sleet, snow and hail. I've also been out last week where it rained for 7 or 8 hours on the trot. These have been in the most extreme weathers over here. The -2 last night with a lot of frost. The alarm wheels never froze up, not an issue at all when I come out to check them this morning. Not that that mattered because I didn't get a single beep, but the alarms just ploughed on through that and they seem to be really, really good. In extreme winds, there seems to be very little false beeps if you have the sensitivity set right. I mean, for what they are in terms of their price bracket, I couldn't be happier. Out of all the alarms that I've had over the past maybe 6 or 7 years, and I've tried several sets of alarms, these are probably the alarms that I've felt most comfortable with. Now, that leads me to my favourite feature of the alarms altogether. If you're one of these people in a swim that casts out their rod, puts it down and starts to fix the bobbin and reel up through the roller wheel or through the vibration pad, and you're sending noises to the entire lake and being uncourteous, you're the type of person that I want to come around and slap around the face when you're trying to relax and enjoy nature. These have a brilliant feature that if you put them to the middle, it'll light up a white LED. That shows that they are in a mute mode. When it mutes the head, it also mutes the receiver. So if I am touching the roller wheel, it will light up on the receiver, but it won't give any noise indication at all, which means that I can literally fix my bobbin, fix my line, get everything set for the evening, and then switch the alarm back on, which when you switch it back into place, it's actually silent again, so you get no motion that it's went back on, so you can do everything in stealth and silence. If you are not wanting anybody in the neighbouring swims to know that you're having a few fish, this is the ideal thing for you. Before, I've had similar things where I could mute the alarm head or switch the volume down, but I had to do the same on the receiver. Me personally, from an experience a couple of years ago with an alarm head, I always had my alarm heads on silent and the receiver on about volume 3, and then once something happened to the receiver, I had no indication at all, and it wasn't until I came out a fish had got snagged. Now luckily it wasn't bad, it was just in weed. I was able to get it out, so I always keep the alarm heads on a very low, probably volume 1, that I can hear it. I mean, we're all tuned in that when we're on the bank, that even the slightest beep, we're up for it. And I mean, I don't know how that works, because the amount of times at home I've slept through my alarm clock, which I hear every day, but we're tuned into hearing these things on the bank. But I would keep the head on volume 1. No one else is going to hear it, but I'll hear it from the bivvy, sort of 10-15 yards away. The receiver I have on about volume 3, but I always have a bit of volume on this. But the beauty about that is if I mute the volume of the head, it also mutes the volume of the receiver. Once I then switch that silently back on, the receiver automatically syncs and comes on itself. So to be honest, you're getting a lot of stuff there for the money. And again, it comes with the little sort of wrist lanyard if you wanted something else in terms of an actual proper neck lanyard. You could just replace that through the little slot. But I mean, I've been suitably impressed. I've been using them for 4 months, and I can see me using these for definitely the next coming few seasons anyway. So thanks very much for watching that product review. As I say, I don't review a lot of products. I mostly just do the vlogs. It takes something to really pique my interest to do a product review for. If you've really enjoyed this video, do like the video, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification so you're getting notified on anything that is happening with the NI Carper channel. There's a lot coming up over the next couple of months, so please do stay tuned in. Thank you for your support and tight lines. See you next time.